Earth angels are real and kind strangers. So, like I was saying in a previous video, I always like to say a prayer for God, or your angels, whoever you pray to, is to please put earth angels and kind strangers in my path. And it's because, there are really amazing people out there in the world. There's some jerks, of course, or they're just souls living in fear and stuff like that. But there are some really beautiful, kind, giving, loving people out there in the world who are willing to help. And a lot of times I find those people, on my travels and, um, you know, and just in places when I need them. So anyway, like I was saying, Lisa is from New Zealand, and she was my earth angel. She and her entire family. Her husband, he was brought here to Jakarta for some tech work, and they have 3 kids. I don't know their exact ages, but I think they're around like maybe 13, 14, maybe about 8, 9, 10, 11. It's like somewhere in there tween, and then a 6-year-old. So all 3 kids are, in school in Indonesia, which is really cool. And so Lisa, like I said, I was down and out and just like physically breaking down, not feeling well, emotionally breaking down again, realizing I'm under this like abusive employer or, prospective employer. ATM frozen, can barely have cash to use the internet, barely have cash to buy toilet paper. I mean, I was just down and out, you guys. Like, it was horrible. And I didn't want to be a burden. And this lady, Lisa, who I had met through Facebook, we hadn't met in person yet, we had mutual friends. And she just said, get in this taxi. I'm going to give you money, when you get here, and I'm going to pay for your taxi. And I'm going to make you dinner. You're going to hang out, relax. If you want to go swimming, you can, whatever you need to do. And I'm going to give you hugs because, like, we know how it is. And so I was like, my heart was full, overflowing with just gratitude. And so anyway, I was like, okay, what am I waiting for? So I immediately tell her, like, okay, I'm on my way. So then I just go home and, I'm like, oh my God, I can like wash my hair. I can like do this. I can do that. Because we were having like water problems in my apartment. It was horrible. So I end up, getting into this taxi. I took some Dramamine because of the motion sickness. I was taking like a bunch of supplements, Chinese herbal supplements, because I was getting sick, and I just like put on that little like blindfold, that you get a lot of times when you're on the plane. And I was just like zonked out, and I just closed my eyes. I prayed for a very nice taxi driver. I got one, and it was like a really nice, car and everything. And I just like prayed the traffic wasn't going to be too bad, and, it was okay. And I just closed my eyes, and I just went to sleep. And literally maybe like 40 minutes later, 35, 40 minutes later, I open my eyes, and it's like I'm in this beautiful neighborhood, very, like, it kind of looked like what I expected Indonesia to look like, like these flowering bushes, and, it just felt more Southeast Asia. Where I'm living, it's like Southeast Asia meets Mall of America meets, like, I don't know, some condominium complex or whatever. So that was really cool. And then we pull up into her house, and at first we couldn't really find it. And it's like, I felt like this lady literally, like, I guess that's why I called her an angel, like came in and just like plucked me out of that like chaos, for the moment, which I really needed it. So then we pull up to her house, and, I get out of the car, and then sure enough, she gives me like this huge hug, and I just like, again, burst into tears. Like, I'm so feeling like such gratitude. I feel so safe, it's like I'm finally meeting this woman, and her energy and her vibe is like exactly what I felt and thought it was going to be, and so like she like looked me straight in the eyes, and she's got these like really like piercing, like, I don't know if they're green or hazel, but like really intense eyes and everything. And she was like, look, you can be yourself. She's like, let the emotions, like, let it go. You can cry in front of my kids. You can cry in front of, like, whoever. Because she's like, I'm teaching my kids, like, it's okay to be emotional and, like, to express your feelings and not, like, keep that stuff, like, pent up. And she's like, we know. We know. Or whatever. She's like, my husband and I have, like, had so many, like, ups and downs. Just being an expat, being in a foreign country that's not your own. I mean, it's not like traveling. Even if you're traveling, like, for a year or what, like, it's completely different when you're, like, setting up life in another country. And I'm not saying it's like a bad experience or something that a person shouldn't do, but just your whole headspace is different, and it's like the way people are coming at you is different, like when you're a tourist, it's all like, oh, cute, good, we want to keep your money. When you're coming in as an expat, it's just, I still haven't totally figured it out, but it's like people are coming at you all angles, like looking at, like, sizing you up, like, how can they get over on you? What can they get out of you? What can you do for them? Why are you here? Who you here with? Like, your whole head game in the space is just completely different. So she was like, trust me, like, we've been through our ups and downs, and only, like, recently we really kind of, like, mellowed things out. So she's like, you know, it's okay. Like, we completely empathize and everything. So, like, she was my earth angel. And that's when, like, the table started to turn.